the world is grappling with COVID-19 virus, issues of mental health such as anxiety, depression, fear are now common. Others have remained hopeful, holding on to their faith and building communities around themselves with family and friends. The youth have, however, been struggling. Many of them have lost jobs, but most importantly, more than ever, are looking for moral support and a sense of belonging and family. Many a times they find themselves alone, misunderstood, without someone to talk to, including their daily relationships. More than ever, youths are seeking for love, sometimes in the wrong places, and when relationships fail, are they finding adults such as parents, guardians, relatives, willing to talk to them and support them unconditionally on matters of the heart? Our brand new show, The Lens, is providing youth and tertiary students the opportunity to be heard, to speak to their parents and guardians, to society and leaders about their issues and how they view the world they exist in. In the studio today, I have youths who will share and raise awareness around their needs right now and stir up conversations around issues of love and mental health. The program is brought to us by Say What organization in partnership with Identities Media, supported by Embassy of Sweden in Zimbabwe and UNFPA. The Lens, telling stories through the eyes of the youths. Welcome to The Lens. I am your host, Nyari, Mashayamombe, and I'm joined by Anna. Welcome, Anna, to the show.
Thank you so much, Miss Nyari, for having me.
So, Anna, you are my first guest on The Lens today, and The Lens is about you young people, where you talk about issues according to how you see them. So today we want to talk about the issue of mental health. Are you ready?
Very much ready.
How are you?
I'm very much okay, thank you. And
I
yourself?
know young people when they say we are okay. Are you really okay?
Well, that is a very important question. Sometimes, many times, you are asked the question, are you okay?
Yeah.
And then you're like, yes, I'm okay. But the question that follows, really, how are you? This is this is like a request for you to open up. So many times we need people. Yes, an invitation to open up. So we actually need more people who ask, after asking, are you okay? And then you have to say, really, how are you?
So and I asked you that question, how are you?
I am super excited. I'm okay. Today I'm really fine. Yes.
Today you're really
fine.
That's so typical young people. You get opportunities like this, you're super excited.
Yeah, exactly.
But this show is not really to go deeper with you as a person, because we didn't actually talk about if I was going to go personal. So I will respect your privacy. But Anna, a general status of issues that affect women and girls, the issues of breakups, the issues that I mentioned about matters of the heart. Tell us about those.
That's a very critical topic indeed. Matters of the heart, issues of breakup. So many a times we get into relationships, sometimes earlier, sometimes later, but not all of them actually turn out the way that we're expecting. Mm-hmm. So as a youth, as a young woman, you have expectations in a relationship, right? But mental health says that a person who is mentally healthy is a person who is able to handle certain pressures and stresses of the day. So when you are expecting something, obviously you're always optimistic about certain things. You're expecting that my relationship with my boyfriend or my girlfriend has to go to certain levels. But then when things go down, this is how we then come up with the issues of breakups. So an issue of breakup is not an issue of something that to joke around with. Although as peers, sometimes around friends, you tend to joke around, but it's something that is serious. It can affect you mentally. You can fail to eat. You cannot have good nights. You cannot have good sleep. It affects you and the persons around you. So this is why we have to actually talk about it, because the moment I'm having a breakup and then my family members, my mom, my dad, my siblings, they are not aware. Sometimes I might be behaving in a certain way, but they are not aware that I'm actually going through this. So So we need to raise awareness on that, because breakups, they are real and they actually affect the psychological part of a human being. You cannot function properly because of matters of the heart.
So that is quite a mouthful, Anna, about the realities. But I think one of the things that maybe a viewer is thinking is, but my breakups are tangana sere. I mean, people have been breaking up all the time. Why are you kids of today, wanting to make a fuss out of it? What do you have to say about that?
Yes, times change. And the breakups of the yesteryear, I'm not saying there's something special about these breakups, but we are in a pandemic right now and we are having a lot of issues. So you can't afford, I mean, guys, please, you can't afford to have a second pandemic within your heart. The lockdowns, the quarantines.
A pandemic on their own.
Yes, it's actually a pandemic on its own. So it actually becomes problematic, and the way that we handle these breakups, we are prone to depression, drug abuse. So sometimes they are very difficult to contain. We have had loss of life due to heartbreaks. And from colleges, societies, we can have girls, even married men and women committing suicide just because they couldn't handle the pressure of having a breakup. So it's actually something that we really need to talk about and we really need to take seriously this time.
I am so grateful that you have said the issue of suicide. I mean, it's so amazing when it is the young people actually verbalizing those things. Probably I was actually going to go deeper and say, but look, the issues of, as you're saying, rightfully saying that heartbreaks have always been there. And I think we've got a culture of not, I think it's only most recently when the word mental health has started circulating in Zimbabwe, we have had a culture of ignoring matters of emotions. Say, it's just like, get over yourself, my heartbreaks. But like you rightfully say, people, heartbreak. I'm telling you, as you rightfully say, and people kill themselves. A lot of people kill others because in domestic violence we talk about intimate relationships, intimate violence that is caused by people who are in relationship together. It's heartbreaks, it's mental health, it's failing to cope with the ability to say ndarambra, how do I move forward? And yet it's the same community that puts a lot of pressure around kuti munhu ngaarorwe. So wazotadza kurorwa paya, then it becomes something else. So I'm really grateful for how you've just jumped deeper into it. So the desires of you guys in relationships, what do you expect from your parents and guardians? So you said you feel like you're alone, and I think in my opening I've also highlighted how you feel like you actually said you're in a pandemic. You are dealing with two pandemics, matters of the heart, as well as the COVID-19 pandemic. What is the expectation you have for your guardians and parents and sometimes siblings?
Okay, thank you so much for that question. Many times when we are talking about mental health, our society and our culture just think about kupenga, they think about mental illness rather. It's a societal bias that when we're talking about mental health, we're now talking about kupenga and craziness. But then when we come back to our culture now, if a person...
But craziness, what we call craziness, is actually another form of mental health.
Yes.
But of course, we're talking about the matters of the heart type of mental health.
Yes.
Which we think that it can actually also maybe lead to the crazy that we say, umuntu lo yahlanya cannot anopenga munhu. But it's actually mental health that is never attended to. But please proceed in your thought.
Yes, thank you. So this is what we're saying. if you're having a heartbreak and then you're having an intense or a sort of an uncontrollable behavior, you might go to that extent of actually losing your mind for real. But when the society see you, they think that it's something that is not culturally acceptable in our society, that a person is actually suffering with mental illness. They would think of it's an aspect of ngozi, it's an aspect of kutandabozo. Exactly. They would think kutandabozo. So the society does not actually appreciate you. They don't support, they don't offer the support that you might need if you're having such a problem. So our expectations right now as the youth is that we have to start to accept that mental health is something that we have to live with. It's a culture that we have to develop within our, starting from our family. Our parents has to learn how to appreciate and approach us in ways that when we face these mental issues, when you're having a breakup, are you as a parent able to offer a conducive environment such that your child may open up to you and say, father or mother, this is what is happening to me, and they will know how to handle you. If you're waking up late in your bed, they will understand because they know, they're informed. Like they will offer that moral support, the love maybe that you were. Sometimes you get in a relationship because there's something missing in your life. Maybe they were ignoring you. They will start to know that, okay, we need to cover this gap. We need to love our child so that maybe she won't go outside and look for love elsewhere.
Right, so I think what should be done to raise awareness about mental health to our parents is to make sure that firstly the message about how as young people we are also facing certain problems about our relationships, this is the kind of message that we think is very important for them to like also understand and to reach out. But then the problem, as the discussion was being said, is that we already have an issues of how patriarchy and how, you know, our culture and how all these standards about relationships and gender dynamics are things that are so exclusive to a point where we don't want to hear about what our youths and what our young people are doing. Our conversations in society are also able to break free from, you know, those stereotypes within societies that try to limit the kinds of conversations that we have with our parents. I also think it also speaks to how as young people ourselves we also become more open about what we are doing and how we are also in relationships, because there are certain points where as young people we are not comfortable also telling our parents about what we are doing, and I think it's mostly related to how we know that some of the people we are dating, whether it's a boy or girl, are people who are bad for us. So I think to a point where we can be able to also say that, you know, this is the track record, this is what we are doing, and we need to be having more conversations about this. I think it can be very important in terms of making sure that they also understand the issues of mental health that we are facing as young people.
It's not about Zimbabwe anymore. We don't have a Zimbabwe anymore. We have a global village. This United States of America, geographically speaking, is that far away from Zimbabwe. But when we are talking of technology, it's like our neighbor. We know what is happening in the United States of America, and they know what is happening in Zimbabwe. So we are in a global village. Our parents should be moving with time. They don't have to still be stuck in the 1970s and 1960s. It's 2020 right now, 2021, I'm sorry, 21st century. We need a 21st century parent, a parent who understands the trends, what is happening now, because that is the reality. When you try to reject the reality, you then get stuck in a false reality, what I call a false reality. You are stuck in a book, in a fiction. It's something that does not exist. You have to come back to reality. You have to move with time. We want 21st century parents.
Do not go away, stay with us.
Did you know? Say What Now has a call center for information on sexual and reproductive health. Stay informed and never feel lonely. In any situation, Say What is there for you.
Welcome back. This is the lens, the issues according to how the youth see them. And in the studio today, I am joined by Anna, a young articulate woman who is helping us to understand issues of mental health as they relate to matters of the heart. Anna, what is the expectation that you guys have of the guardians or the siblings? I feel like you can go deeper on that. I know I kind of asked about it, but it's just an sema young women. Relationships after, first of all, are you expected to be in relationships? Because I feel like maybe sometimes there's the religious and cultural expectations that say at a young age as yours, your parents are not expecting you to be in a relationship, and yet you're being in the relationship, and yet you're suffering these things. Do you feel like, there is, first of all, what do you expect from your parents, and then maybe we can then jump into understanding the cultural and religious aspects of young women and expectations?
Well, so this is how we tend to sometimes feel like we are lagging behind when it comes to keeping our guardians updated and, up with whatever that is happening in our lives. Firstly, if you were not able to highlight or to say, to formally, maybe to just mention that, I think I'm in love with someone, and if you are in such a kind of a setting, how then will you be able to say that I'm suffering a heartbreak when at the first they don't know that you were in a relationship? So this is what we need to actually change.
But are you ready as young women to confront your parents and say, Mom, because I'm Muslim, no one to say this. Like, are you ready to say, Mom, I am seeing so and so? Culturally, are we expected to tell our parents about our relationships?
Sometimes
our petty love sometimes.
Oh yeah, it's about cultural confinement. You have a certain degree where you have to go when it comes to relationships. You can't just, especially when you don't, like, the problem with our relationships is that you date John today, but maybe 6 months down the line it has trembled. How then will you go back again and say, Mom, something happened with John, so now I'm with sorry. So you actually appear to be someone who's not serious with life. So most of us, what we do is we introduce our partners when we think we are about to get married, because that is what is culturally accepted, even religiously.
Right.
So if we are in these relationships with our heartbreakers, it's very difficult. It's very, very difficult. But then our parents really need to understand that, it happens.
As young people, we are definitely hiding a lot from our parents. It's funny how so many parents think that, their young boy, their young girl isn't dating, whereas we probably started at the age of 13, or they also assume that we aren't having sex. So it means that, we don't have any conversations about this. But I think also, as I also mentioned earlier a bit, there is a problem about how, as young people ourselves, we aren't forthcoming. And the problem is that we are mostly afraid of telling our parents because they also have their own standards and expectations. So I feel like for us young people to stop hiding, and to break those patterns of hiding our relationships to our parents, it needs collective efforts, not only from them but from us as well. From our parents, we expect, for them to also work with us with every stage of life, to also try to introduce us to, new things in life, and to also be very open to us in respect to issues of relationships are concerned. It looks like, a parent also being like introducing information to a child according to their age and saying, well, if a boy does this to you, or if you're doing this, then this is how you respond. So I feel like when we do that as young people, we are more willing to talk to our parents even more. But then on our own behalf, I think it also speaks to us, probably the kinds of peer influence that we give each other, because at some point in time, like when I'm talking to my peers or when they're talking to me, they'll always say something like, you really shouldn't tell your parents about this, because we try to create that hiding culture so that we don't expose some of the things that we are doing to our parents, and that really becomes problematic, because when something becomes so normalized, it means that as young people we are not willing at all to share that information with our parents. So I suppose from our peers we also expect more openness and more even suggestions on how we also can make these discussions normal with our parents, and even on ourselves. We can also try to also, just introduce these conversations bit by bit. One day you just ask mom, what do you think about me having a girlfriend right now? And then the next, you ask another progressive question, mom, I already have a girlfriend, but this is what I'm doing. So at some point, it may start as weird to her, but I think it will become so normal that, at the end of the day, we are going to be not hiding these issues anymore.
Well, I don't think that it is too late, but I think it depends with what kind of relationships that have to be built right now. Because if the hostility in a relationship between the parent and the child has been there since like day one, since the child was still a child, before he or she was a teenager, it would be really hard for them to try and reconcile right now. I think the ideal thing would be for us to teach the younger parents, not our parents, because I think it is quite impossible. It is impossible for us to reconcile already, because I think the time has just moved to an end. I've started right now. We have to try to teach my parents about my ideal relationships they should have with their children. Not to try to tell our parents the ideal parents that we want in the 21st century. No, I think it is impossible, but we can tackle this issue by trying to my parents those with infants and the little babies, so that they can grow up and be the ideal parents that we want.
So I think this is quite, a massive and interesting conversation, because I remember we're in the group with you guys and someone said, oh, our parents should move with times. I think somebody mentioned that, how come, like how we see or how we watch in movies, the Americans, these people already talk to their kids. A kid is very comfortable to get into a relationship, to have a heartbreak, and then they come and cry over the shoulder of their parents because it's open. Do you think you guys are ready to tell your parents about your relationships as Zimbabwean kids? Are there any communities or are there any people who are at that level with their kids? And do you feel like your parents are welcoming that?
I'd love to believe that, it depends with the family culture. I wouldn't want to say every family is in Zimbabwe, but I would like to say and mention that with other cultures, of course, the younger generation is being blamed of taking other people's culture and trying to fit in within our culture, and it turns out disastrous, some of them. So I'd love to say that let's try at least to see that a way in which we can actually appreciate our culture, because it has dignity in a way. It has some sense of respect, but times are changing, and there are a lot of things, even our biological makeup. Sometimes maybe times ago you wouldn't see an 18-year-old looking like me, but this day you can see a 17-year-old looking just like me. So we need to adapt and try to fit in the needs of our children, and also as the children we need to actually respect our parents in return in whatever that we'll be doing.
So maybe by what you've just said, when you're talking about the kids needing to respect, because you've mentioned earlier on about how Nasi, Johnny, Mangwana Wana, Elvis, and you also feel like that is inappropriate. Do you guys still have values as young people? Do you feel like, as much as it doesn't make sense to go to your mom and say today, Mom, I'm dating John, maybe 6 months later, do you feel like it's an opportunity for the young people to reflect and also maybe direct? And do you feel like if we had an open relationship, that would like kind of force you to have some certain standards of how, if you're going to get into a relationship today, if it doesn't work, you need maybe to take stock of that relationship, how you got there, how it didn't work. Give yourself time before you go to the next guy, so that the next time you go to your mom, she's not shocked, or your dad, he's not shocked.
Miss Nyari, I really love what you've just said right now. It's something that I wish I could take that conversation and put it in every household where there's a boy and a girl.
You're gonna do it because we're on air. So.
Yes, thank you. Because this is the conversation that is actually needed. When I approach my parent, I'm expecting such a response to say, okay, girl or boy, listen, this happens, like, you need to do this and that. Sometimes we are misguided.
Positive parenting.
Yes, thank you. Because we don't have the guidance, we end up doing things on our own because, remember, we are sneaking. This has to be a secret affair. My parents don't have to find out most of the times. So we really need this child to parent conversations.
So I think this is I'm also excited and enjoying this. Why? Because a lot of us, I have a number of people coming into my inbox, especially parents, mothers, a lot of them will say, I don't know where to start about talking about sex, because this doesn't just happen because a child is now 16 or 17, they've started dating. That's why there's awkwardness. These conversations must start when a child is growing at 5. When you're Vachitama don't touch, I was told the other time that they're at school, our curriculum in school is not teaching kids, especially to protect them from sexual abuse. They're taught don't touch areas where nobody must touch them. Parents must start from there as well. You don't just wake up one day, you've got a teenager, and you have to talk about sex that you never spoke to them about. Don't touch, because it's just not about giving. I feel like in our culture, it's a lot about don't do this, don't do that, without even talking about consequences. Vana information. So a lot of parents are asking me, "Kuti, tutangira papi." So I think it is important to start kwekutanga ndite mwana achikura payapaya muchimudzidzisa kuti aubatwe pakati zvinodai wakabatwa inonzi rape, right? Wakabatwa pakati inonzi rape, muchitoexplainira kumwana. Then I think it kind of creates, as she gets to 10 to 11, you're preparing them for menstruation. If it's the boys, you're talking about wet dreams when they're young. They're teaching them about don't touch your scanner, or don't let anybody touch you as well, because nowadays boys are also being molested by fellow boys and sometimes by women. So I think relationships with kids and with young people must start the age relevant information at every stage. Information so much so that when they get to 12, 13, they're liking boys. That's where you are now introducing relationship advice. Wow. So I think for me this is quite an amazing conversation, especially being led by young people. We are taking a break on the lens. Do not go away. Stay with us.
Did you know? Say What Now has a call center for information on sexual and reproductive health. Stay informed and never feel lonely. In any situation, Say What is there for you.
Welcome back to the show, The Lens, where we talk about youth issues according to how the youths see the issues. And in the studio today, I'm joined by the beautiful Anna, who's talking about mental health issues as they relate to youth and relationships and matters of the heart. Anna, what is the desirable relationship? How does it look like if you were in the ideal family? How would it look like, the relationship between you and your parents?
I would like to actually say that I'm not saying our culture is not good, but during this day it's kind of deteriorating, because back then we used to have uncle Sekuru, we used to have Tete. So Tete was my bestie. Tete was my sister, my ride or die, my secret teller. Right now, Tete is no more. And then Sekuru for my Andrade, Sekuru is no more. So I would like to say, right now, we need our Tete back, at least within my mom now. I need my Tete within my mom. I need my big sister within my mom. I need my younger sister, my secret teller within mom, because the bonding that we used to have, like mother to daughter bonding, it started.
There's not too much pressure on the mothers. That's just what I wanted to do. But please continue.
Okay, it's not too much pressure because you have been with me for 9 months within your womb, and you've been with me during my very first days. You taught me how to talk. Why can't you taught me how to handle relationships, mom?
Wow, my God, that is a rock. Wow, please.
So we've been together since day one. Yeah. So we can also be together since, I don't know, since forever. Let's not try to disconnect our parents from our kids due to the influence of culture. Let's not try to take that away, because it has been there. It has been well established, but somewhere along the line, it was actually like put aside. Like your parent will be like, okay, you stay here, someone else is taking over. Maybe it was meant to actually relieve pressure on the parents, but now it's no longer relevant. Can we just have that back, but within my mom and my dad? I think some of us would actually appreciate having a conversation about how your day was. Wow. How your date was. How was he? Is he cute? Is he nice? Not the awkward things, of course, but you know, that kind of a conversation. I think it will be very much productive this day, and it will be very relevant.
And this is where then, if there are problems, then the parents begin to pick, because it is seen that a lot of young people get raped on dates. And that's when they can actually begin to open up. And also just not for parents, but also for guardians. So there are many people who stay with Hama.
Yeah.
You know, it's just nice if a child is, as it was Fera say, relationship here. You know, just showing like genuine interest in the life of a child, and I think that kind of helps. So I think parents they want time with you. Yes. Rather than the usual, you know, you're always labeling them naughty, they don't want to tell you. They actually are dying for time to tell you. But also I just want to address this issue of you guys. Is it everyone who's prepared to have a conversation with their parents? Because I know some people who just don't want to open up to their parents because they're also being very naughty.
Like I've been saying, sometimes we have to come back to the kind of relationship that you've been having all along with your child. Yeah. There's no one, I don't want to say bad parenting, but sometimes it's good to maintain a very good relationship with your kid without spoiling them, so that both of you will have to understand each other better. Your weaknesses, your strengths. I think if you really know what your parents like, and you know what they don't like, there's no excuse for you to open up to them without crossing the line, of course. Yes.
Okay. So I think what we're hearing on this show is that, you know, rights come with responsibilities. So the young people are asking for the right from their parents to have a conversation and relationship. And I think you said a very profound thing, that we were together day one, Mom. What has changed? This is the time that is the hardest time of my life, where I'm having to, you know, to maneuver the terrain of relationships, and your own experience could help me. Of course, hoping that your mom had good experiences, but hoping that she also learned from experiences. And so I think as we proceed in this conversation, I want you to tell me how a person starts. We've got, like I told you, I mean, lots and lots of women come inbox, be it on WhatsApp, be it on Facebook or Twitter, wherever. You know, they come to me and say, I don't even know where to start. You know, I'm hearing these things. I wish I knew earlier on, because a lot of people report later. But not with a relationship. Is it too late, first of all?
I just want to say, it's never too late to start. You can start anyway. And I don't want to blame any parent for any disconnections that have been happening all along, because sometimes it's about how we were brought up, how our parents have been brought up. They were left in the hands of the uncles and the tatas, and everything was good. But now that we don't have that kind of a setting, that kind of a relationship with Baba Kazi, with Tete, with Sekuru, Hanjadzi, Yamai. So it's not too late. This is actually the time where we need to start. Let's just start the call. Whoever starts the call, like if my parents, Edu, they just have to admit that things have changed and times have changed. If you admit that Tete vangamambori popauri havasisipo pane mwana wako, that's a red flag. You should start from there. Start from where you have left, and start from there. If you had stopped conversation with your child in grade 5, start from where you left. And then now she's 22. I don't know where you assumed she got the information, but you need to go back and start from where you left. As a parent, it's very important and it's very critical. Sometimes we feel like our parents are not paying so much attention on us because of careers. They have a lot of pressures, of course, but we are very much important. And when a problem comes now, it won't be personal. If I'm suffering mental illness, if I'm having a heartbreak, you all have to suffer, because I won't be liking to talking to anybody and it won't be nice to you. I won't be doing some other things that I'm expected to do because I'm not well. You will be suffering as well. If I get raped on a date rape that maybe I wasn't aware how to play with the guys, it's a problem. It's a family problem. If I get pregnant, it's a family problem. So everything is coming back.
If you do not, provide the platform to talk about issues, we all get affected. My last question, Anna, are our parents ready to tell their kids that they love them, or do you want to be told by your parents that they love you?
Yes, very much. I didn't love to because sometimes it is a bit awkward to say, but a good night, I love you, good morning, bye my girl, like my mom always does that, hi my princess, I wish you all the best, I love you. It sounds so pretty and you just feel motivated and then you feel beautiful. And if you're a guy, you feel handsome. If your mom tells you, boy, you handsome, she means it. You handsome. And if she tells you, girl, you're beautiful, it really means that she's beautiful, because she won't say it to gain anything. If it was a guy telling me that, Anna, you're beautiful, maybe he wants me. But
you want something.
It's my mom. I did appreciate it, and it would feel very much nice and beautiful because it comes from the heart.
The advice that I have for you, I think it's time for us to start and look for people who we know that these people are good at keeping secrets and these people are really close to us. That person can be a friend, it can be an aunt, it can be an uncle, it can be a pastor at church, it can be anyone, someone you feel close to, and someone whom you feel free to open up to. It does not necessarily have to be your parent. Because I don't think, looking at the culture, the tradition and everything, I think it is really hard for us to speak to our parents about these issues. But I can freely speak to my friend about these issues, and that friend can help me. So I think we have to teach more youth about counseling. Every youth in Zimbabwe should know about counseling, should know how to speak to another youth when it comes to mental health. Mental health should be something that everybody should know about, so that when a friend, someone who is close to you, comes to you seeking for help, you will be able to help that person. So I think it should be more about your peers rather, not necessarily your parents. I think mental issues should be tackled with your peers, people who you feel open to speak to, people whom you can freely speak to without fear or anything. So I think it should be tackled between peers and peers, not really parents or guardians, something like that.
For the young people, Anna representing the young people in Zimbabwe, and she's saying, we want you to listen to us. We want to talk to you. We want you to tell us how you love us. We want you to go through life together with us. As the lens, we say, be that parents who will start today. It's never too late. Talk to your children. It is going to be awkward the first time. Start somewhere. Don't be too militant. Don't be too nosy. Don't. When you start it, they're going to be surprised. Huh? You want to get in my business? Huh? Mistrust. But I think start by loving them. Allow them the pace. Earn their trust again. But then it's never too late. Until next time, have a good one.